turn your cell phones on silent, please. Our speaker tonight, Brian Dalton. He is the creator, writer, producer, and star of the hilarious web show Mr. Deity. This web show portrays the biblical creator as kind of a sort of incompetent studio executive who constantly confuses his assistants as he explains to them his plans for humanity and the universe. There are over 50 episodes of Mr. Deity that are available online, and the web show gets 400 to 600,000 downloads every single month. I believe you'll see a couple of brief clips of what's going on with that during the talk. Brian Dalton himself is a former Mormon. He has studied both Judaism and Christianity, and his talk this evening is titled "The Value of Atheism."
Is it on?
Yeah, I think it's on. I'll try again. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. There we go. There we go. I like the rum a little. It's nice to have something work. Because this has been a bit of a disaster day because on top of everything else, my keynote is going to crash if I go beyond the 5th slide, I think it is. So I'm going to have to be referring to notes that are a little bit scattered because they're not like they were put into the keynote. They were just my preliminary notes. But we're going to get to this. This is just a funny story I want to tell you at the beginning of this. My wife, who plays Lucifer on the show, does... that's a funny story. I'll get to that in just a minute. She does traffic for commercials. What that means is people who buy commercial airtime on networks, they need someone to traffic this thing. They need to talk to the production house and get it to the edit house, and then they put it into the show and all that stuff. So about a month ago, CBS was given a Christian Mingle ad. I don't know if you've seen their ads. They were given this to throw into one of their shows, I think Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, or something like that. And their legal team rejected the ad because, can you see that their motto there, their little TM? Find God's match for you. Well, the lawyers decided we can't have that run because there's no legal guarantee that they're going to actually be able to find God's match for you. That's a true story. But there's a funny connection because years and years ago I was writing a TV sitcom about a character who had been left. He was a marriage and family counselor, and he comes home one day and his wife has just bailed out on him. And I was doing some research on eHarmony, because I thought at some point this guy would go on to eHarmony. The whole thing about him is he's very weird, he's very strange. He's been with this woman for a very long time. And he doesn't know where to go now to find love and romance, and he really wants that back in his life. So he goes on to eHarmony. Well, I decided I would do some research, and I don't know if you know this, but you can go on to eHarmony and take their little questionnaire. It's quite long, it's quite extensive, it probes quite a bit about who you are and what you want in a relationship and all that stuff. And so you can take it, and then it'll tell you, what your matches are, and then if you actually want to communicate to the other person, you have to pay your money. So I went through and I did the test. Probably took me about an hour. And then, I clicked OK, and it takes a few minutes, it processes, and then it comes back to you and it says, would you like to find your matches? And I said, sure, OK, I hit OK. And it comes up and it says, there are no matches for you. Now, I was in a bad marriage at the time that I knew I was going to be getting out of. I was staying for my daughter, who's now off in college. So now I'm in a good marriage. I'll tell you about Lucifer in just a minute. it was a little disheartening. But there's always the option there. What you start out with is, you know, give me everybody who I would be a match with within a 25-mile radius. So it gives you the option of, would you like to expand the search? And I said, okay. I clicked okay. And it went out to 50 miles, and it comes back and it says, there are no matches for you. This is an honest-to-God story. And so I said, expand the search. It went out 100 miles, and then 500 miles, and then 1,000 miles, and then 3,000 miles. They're still searching somewhere in the Alpha Centauri galaxy. Couldn't find any matches for me. That's a true story. Fortunately, years later, I was totally messed up by that. I thought, oh my God, there's no one on this planet who connects up with me in any way. Which I didn't find strange, but just depressing. And so years later, I talked to someone about it, and I told them the story, and they said, well, you can't do it right away. You have to wait like a day, because even though it tells you it can find the matches, it's not going to find the matches. So I later went back on, and sure enough, there were tons of people who want me. But I was already connected back up with somebody at that point. Anyway, so I thought it would be funny, because we have the Christian Mingle thing, and I thought, I got to go on and try this on there. They have a similar setup. You can go through, take the test, and then find out who is a match for you. So I went and did that. It took me about an hour to go through, and that's who it came up with. So Sammy and I are having lunch on Friday. I don't know if, yeah, let's see how far I can go here. How many people have seen the Mr. Deity shows? Okay, not everybody, so I'm going to convert some people here today. That's going to be great. Is that a text? Did somebody get a text just now? I can answer that for you if you need it. We started the show back in 2007. We started shooting in 2006, and we uploaded in 2007. If you're not familiar with the show, I play God, which I don't recommend people doing in general, but I like doing it. I enjoy it. My best friend, Jimbo Marshall, plays Larry, who is God's long-suffering assistant, basically. People wonder if he's the Holy Ghost, and we answered that question in season 4, but I'm not going to tell you here because you're going to have to do the work. The hunky guy over to the right plays Jesus, who Mr. Deity can never remember his name, so he's ended up being Jesse Jesus. And then my wife plays Lucifer, or Lucy, on the show. And the story behind that is she was in the midst of a divorce in 2006. And she was getting divorced from my best friend. And my best friend suggested that she play Lucifer on the show. I don't know if there's any connection there between the two. But I thought that was a good idea. And then we ended up falling in love during the course of shooting that first season. And we got married. I thought it would be bigger news. God and the devil reconcile, come together. We didn't get any press. It was a bummer. As he mentioned, the show gets about 400 to 600,000 downloads. Most people see the show on iTunes. A lot of people watch on YouTube, but not nearly as many, because the second season we went with Sony. They wouldn't let us put it up on YouTube because they're a competitor. So everybody went to iTunes because they allowed us to keep that. So that's how many downloads we have. We don't know how many people actually watch the show. But we have a lot of big fans. Richard Dawkins is one of our big fans of the show. He's going to be on next season. I call him Shard. That's how close we are. Michael Shermer of the Skeptic Society. Julia Sweeney, former Saturday Night Live alum. Penn, and I assume Gillette, Teller, but he's not talking to me. And then this is kind of a cool story. It's a cool story if you're an atheist. My dad actually became an atheist in his early 80s. As he mentioned, I was raised Mormon. He joined the church when he was in his, I want to say, 30s, to keep peace with my mother. He was raised Catholic, and he never quite bought it. And I kind of sensed that growing up, even though I got super religious at one point. And after my mom died, he came to the dark side. And the way he did it was he read the Bible. That's your basic story of conversion right there. I came over one day and he said, "Do you know what the hell is in this thing?" I said, "Yeah, I do, Dad." Okay. Okay, oh, I don't know why that's there. Okay,